Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Went live and I had a coughing fit just there. Damn, man, timing. Oh, hello, everybody. Man, oh man. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about today. First and foremost, I know some of you were looking forward to a debate today, but that got canceled. One of the people involved, it was a one-on-one debate that they asked me to host yesterday. They were like, please host our debate. I'm like, okay, I will host your debate. One of them backed out like an hour ago. And that sucks because I don't disagree with the guy that didn't back out, right? So I can't just have him on and argue with him myself, right? Like I would normally do. So we're not going to get that today. Unfortunate, sad. It was our community members. They were in chat yesterday. Alexander Wren was supposed to debate Andrew Steele, I believe is his name. But Andrew Steele couldn't get off work or something. He couldn't make it. But they were in chat yelling at each other, and they were like, okay, hey, have us, host our debate. Let us go on and fight each other on your show. And I was like, okay, sure. Why not? Okay. So we don't get to do that today, unfortunately. But we do get to do other fun things. So all is not lost. Okay. Andrew ran. It wasn't Andrew ran, not that Andrew. But you guys want to see another Andrew? Did you guys see this? Let's watch a little let's start with some humor today. Let's start with some little lightheartedness, okay? It's from the Whatever podcast. It's a clip. Let's see what happens.
Uh-oh. Come on, you can do it.
Put it right side up. Just
you can
so
do it. You got this.
All right, bro. I can't do it. Here.
Right.
Dude, this seems a little immature. No. For
Hey, the guy
$1,000.
sent $1,000.
Yeah, but it seems slightly immature.
It's all fucking
It's just
slick
for,
now.
It's a little,
See, it
little fun.
is.
I gotta grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Well, your hand greased the whole top of it.
My hand are fine. Here, high five.
It literally, it's like feel it. Isn't that greasy?
It was like that already. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
no, it wasn't. You greased the top.
Oh my Jesus, Andrew. If you can't open the olive jar, you cannot blame my
Oh my
jar.
fucking
You're so
god.
strong, you should open it.
Look
Yeah, I
at
gotta be able
this
to grip it.
weak ass
Okay,
little
grip it. Let's
bitch.
go.
Literally
Look at
slippery.
this weak ass little. He's trying so hard.
Back.
Oh
Grab me a paper
my
towel so I can dry the
fucking
top
god.
of it off.
I'm gonna choke. I'm gonna die. Oh, she greased the lid. She greased the lid, gang. I can't even open a fucking jar. Force doctrine, men are the only reason women have rights. Bro, if you can't beat an olive jar, you ain't gonna beat women, I promise you. What a fucking moron. Wow, that was, man, that was embarrassing. Oh, shit. Yeah, if you can't open an olive jar, you shouldn't be talking about force doctrine. You should probably just keep your mouth shut, right? You ain't enforcing anything. Force ain't your thing, right? It's LARP. You guys understand that, right? All of it's LARP. They're LARPing as these big, strong, masculine, tough guys, but they can't do basic tasks. Literally, opening a jar, okay? Easiest thing, and then he can't open it. So instead of saying, man, this jar's tough, I can't get it, he blames someone else. You must have greased it. It's your fault, woman. It's your fault I can't open a jar. Jesus. Why didn't he try to dent the lid? I'm not sure. Zephyr Hash for $10 says, what remains of those who judge themselves by the ability to open jars when they can't open jars? What remains of useful idiots when they stop being useful? True. If your ideology, if your worldview requires you to be the masculine strongman that can do the physical tasks that women cannot do, it would behoove you to be able to do the physical tasks that women cannot do. We aren't talking about something that is crazy hard, right? We're not talking about lifting a tire, right? Or taking apart an engine and putting it back together, right? We're not talking about those things. What we're talking about is opening a jar. I would demonstrate how to do it, but I don't have any jars that aren't already opened, and it would be cheating to open a jar that's already opened. Next time, tell you what, next time I get a jar, I won't open it, and you'll be able to seal the vacuum seal, right? I'll be able to, because you know the thing at the top that shows it has been opened, right? I'll show you that, and then I'll open the jar, and then ta-da, right? It'll be fun. But yeah, it's this idea that, oh, men are the only, like, if men wanted to take away women's rights, they could. Brother, if they wanted to take away, if the olive jar wanted to take away your rights, it could, Andrew. Jesus Christ. Buy a jar for stream tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow would be a good time to do it as well, because tomorrow is going to be some Andrew Wilson types from his school of thought, if you will, versus Enemy Charlie and Tolly. So that should be fun. Nair Sock says, now I need proof Andrew can open an open jar. It's not looking good for him. It's just so crazy. $5 from Alexander Wren. My jars are so scared of me, they pre-open themselves. Stream bit, jar opening. Look, next time I do need to get an olive jar, and I need to set it right here. And next time I debate Andrew Wilson, or Andrew Wilson comes on my stream or calls in or whatever, right? Or I'm in a stream where he happens to call in, I could just have it there, right? Like as a power move. It'd be funny. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. I think it's very hilarious. I hope you guys do too. It's a little petty of me to show that on stream. It's a little bit petty. It's true. It's a little bit petty. Chikamaru Sala says, wait, what Pakman Destiny stuff? We're going to get to that. I wanted to start off a little more lighthearted. Okay. Female escort IRL says Andrew is an idiot. True. Right? But he's also weak. He is a weak idiot. If you're going to be an idiot, at least have something to make up for it. At least be strong. Right? At least, you know, be able to open a jar. At least be useful. I don't know. Fido N says, you allowed to be petty when it comes down to that bitch-ass motherfucker? I try not... Look, it's not good to be petty. I'll just say that. It's not good to be petty. It would be better if no one was petty. But I'm going to indulge now and then, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna indulge a little bit because it's fun. Weak mind, weak body. True. Chiba Hawk says, did you see convicted felon Trump fumble and fail to open a clamshell box? Embarrassing. No, I didn't see that. Actually. The only reason I saw this is because someone sent it to me. And did anyone watch that debate? Does anyone know if he ever got it open? Like, in the end? I didn't watch it, right? So maybe I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he was able to, like, figure out a way to open the jar, and we just didn't see that part. Maybe I clipped him out of context. I don't know, right? But I didn't see it. Sam Monroe says, I can't fathom how people don't get tired of Wilson's perpetual women can't enforce their rights argument. Again, it's a game because no individual can enforce their rights. You understand that, correct? Like, this is a problem with that way of thinking. No single person on the face of this earth, right, can enforce their rights. They rely on the collective to enforce their rights, the state to enforce their rights. A single man or even a small group of men cannot enforce their rights. the state has the monopoly on force, right? And the state is run by men and women. And if you had a state run solely by women, it would have the ability to enforce itself on any amount of men, right? It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. And again, technology bridges the gap in a lot of ways, right? A woman with a gun will beat the strongest man in the world, okay? Doesn't matter. A gun is a force multiplier, and it will be used and can be used. Even a pistol, right? And I'm not talking like rifles and shit like that. I'm talking just a pistol, right? A pistol, give a woman a pistol and put her against a strong man, pop, pop, done. Done, son. Right? That's it. People don't understand. They watch too much TV. Watch too much TV. But now that we've seen a man embarrass himself, let's watch a woman embarrass herself, because we're equal opportunity people here in WIC TV, okay? We're equal opportunity embarrassers. So Kirsty Noem had a bit of a hearing today in the Senate. Am I saying her name right? Kirsty Noem? Is that the one who shot the dog? You guys remember she shot her dog, wrote a book about it? Kinetic Pause says, well, the woman or Andrew Wilson has the hand strength to chamber around. True! Let's watch what they have to say here. Let's watch how it went.
So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Hold on. Do you guys know? We've talked about it a lot on this channel. What is habeas corpus? Would you be able to answer that question? Consider it. Okay.
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to...
Let me stop you, ma'am.
Of all the answers you could give, that's not it, okay? That's not what habeas corpus is at all. But hey, she continues.
Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me.
President Lincoln used it? Bro! What? You're just batting 1,000 here today. Damn. Did she just, like, hear the words Lincoln and habeas corpus and then assume a lot of things? Because habeas corpus and Lincoln are connected, but not because Lincoln used habeas corpus. He famously suspended habeas corpus for a lot of people. It's crazy, but let's keep going.
Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the Live Free or Die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. So, Secretary Noem, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the President of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
It has never
Let us be clear, though,
it has
that this
never
president...
been done. It has never been done without approval of Congress. Even Abraham Lincoln got retroactive approval from Congress.
True. This is my problem with a lot of this, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the Trump administration. Here's my big issue with a lot of the Trump administration. They just don't know things. They're just ignorant. Kirsty Noem does not know, or at least in the moment she was not able to answer, what habeas corpus is. she got the answer entirely incorrect. Whether she did that because she's purposefully lying and trying to promote a narrative, or because she just doesn't know. Either way, we are ruled by people who either do not understand or will not abide by basic foundational principles of justice and law. Habeas corpus, right? We had a debate about it yesterday, right? Habeas corpus is, again, the right for someone to reply to the government. The government says, we're detaining you for this, and you have the right to say, no, I am going to respond to that argument. That's what it is. The core foundational principle from the Magna Carta, gang. Okay? The ability to respond so the government can't just detain you for no reason, right? Here's another clip that we're going to go watch. Same hearing, same lady. Let's see how she answers a different senator.
Raised earlier.
Hold on,
I wanted to just go back to something that was raised earlier about habeas corpus. Can you confirm to us that you understand that any suspension of habeas corpus requires an act of Congress?
President Lincoln executed habeas corpus in the past with retroactive action by Congress. I believe that any president that was able to do that in the past, it should be afforded to our current day president. This president has never said he's going to do this. He's never communicated to me or his administration that they're going to consider suspending habeas corpus.
Didn't Stephen Miller come out and say that they're looking to suspend habeas corpus in certain cases? I could have sworn that's true. Anyone have the post or the clip or anything? But am I wrong? I could be wrong on this. I might be wrong on this. So correct me if I am. I don't mean to spread information. But I'm pretty sure that Stephen Miller has publicly discussed, right, suspending habeas corpus. Stephen Miller, he is the deputy chief of staff, right? He's the chief of staff for the White House. I mean, he's connected to the president. He's not nobody. He's not some Twitter nobody or some rando. But let me double check. I want to triple check this. Stephen Miller talks about suspending habeas corpus. I'm almost certain he did. Oh, here's a clip.
Senator Fetterman.
Hold on, let's get rid of the blah blah blah. Here, I'll mute this. Fuck it. Hold on. We're gonna watch it together once this ad's done. Okay. But this was 9 days ago, so it wasn't that long ago. Okay. Oh God, ads! One day I'll get YouTube Premium, but that day is not today. Is this a 13-minute segment? Do we have a better clip? Does anyone have a shorter clip of him talking about this? I don't want to watch 13 minutes of shit. Hold on, is there? Let me see if I can't find a more succinct. Here we go. Here's one for 1 minute and 21 seconds. We could watch that. That's doable. Okay, here's Mr. Miller. Okay.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes.
Yep. Here he is talking about suspending habeas corpus. They're looking into it. And he seems to be suggesting that unless the courts do what he wishes, and by he I mean the Trump administration, they will suspend habeas corpus, right? So they're obviously talking about it. At least his administration is, right? I'm not sure if Trump himself is, but his administration is. This isn't out of left field. So again, this isn't like something, she's not being pop quizzed. Kirsty Noem here isn't being pop quizzed on just out of the blue, rando trivial facts about due process or about the Constitution, right? Which one could forgive not being up on every single particular or every single trivial detail. I understand that. I get it. Like, oh, you like women? Name every woman. Okay, whatever, bro. Right? Like, we can understand. But this is something that has been a huge topic for months now. You should know what it is. You should be able to answer basic questions about it. You don't have to be a legal scholar. But it, what position does she have again? She's Secretary of, not Defense. Kirsty Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. Yeah, you should know what habeas corpus is. You should absolutely know what habeas corpus is. You should know it enough, at least, to be able to answer basic questions in front of the Senate hearing. And you know it's coming up. You should be aware that this question is going to be asked of you. You're going to be asked about questions regarding it. You need to have an answer. You need to have an answer that isn't just, it's Trump can send away whoever he wants. That's not the answer. That's not what the position is. That's all. Also, right, they can't do it without habeas corpus. They can't do it without, and the Supreme Court has ruled on this, not some rogue leftist liberal judges, but the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled on this, that they need to give people, even people being deported under the Aliens Enemies Act, need to be given a chance to answer the government's charges, right? To answer the charges against them. So first, the courts have to notify the people that they are being deported under this act, and the people who are being deported under this act have to be able to respond in a reasonable amount of time, right? The first ruling that came back about it, the Trump administration gave them 24 hours to respond. And in the second ruling, the courts kicked that back, saying 24 hours ain't enough. Ain't enough time, right? It's not enough time to sufficiently answer a charge like that. It's still being litigated in court. It'll go back a third time, I'm sure. But then we'll get ruled on. Zephyr Hash for $2. Ew, what's on her face? Wait, that's her face. Well, thank you for the $2. Brew Crow, thank you for the Tier 2 membership. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mauricio Lama says garbage show. Yes, it's garbage. This is slop. It's trash. But, you know, we're here to tell the truth. And you may not like the truth or may think the truth is garbage, but the truth remains even if you throw it out. Okay. That's the long and short of it. It's okay to not like my show. That's fine. You don't have to be here if you don't want. But you're welcome to stay if you'd like. Dunkin' Donut says, I wouldn't pretend to be knowledgeable about this, but haven't we been finding loopholes to habeas corpus since the war on terror for citizens who are deemed enemy combatants, for example? Yes, and that's bad. That's bad. Again, I want to be clear, Trump is not the sole offender. The Trump administration is not the sole offender in this, right? We've had a problem for a long time, since Reagan, right? With administrations, executive administrations, taking power that they should not have, and kind of upping the role of the executive branch, upping their power in a way that I find troubling and alarming, and I have for a while. Obama did it. Biden did it. Trump 1 did it. Bush did it. Clinton did it. Bush Sr. did it. Reagan did it. We've been doing it for a long, long time. Trump is merely the latest and, I would argue, the worst offender in this. And here's my fear, though. Here's my worry. Is that when Trump loses in 2028, and he will, or whoever his successor is, right? And he will, that the incoming Democratic administration, instead of casting the ring into the fire, which they should, right? They're just going to put it on and wear it themselves. They're going to take all this executive power and they're going to wield it themselves. And that would be a mistake. I hope they do not make that mistake, but I fear that they will. And this is just going to be, because again, eventually they will lose and the incoming Republican administration will just do it worse and do it more, right? We have to have checks on these things. It is not good for the executive branch to have so much power. It creates problems. I hope we can see this administration is a good demonstration to this administration is a good, I said that right. This administration is a good demonstration, hopefully to people on the left, that executive power needs to be reined in. There needs to be a check on it. Hollywood Fit says, I'm showing my age, but I remember when people agreed EO executive orders were a bad thing. Yeah. It's been bad for a while. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. This is the thing. Like, I don't want to end all executive orders. I can see use cases, edge cases, where in very limited scope, an executive order is good for the government, and it's good for the people, and it's good for America. But I don't know, man. Like, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we just need to get rid of it altogether. Because it's just being abused by everyone. And I don't know if we can give that power to the executive branch. I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But anyway, I got distracted because we're gonna watch the rest of this. We're gonna watch the rest of this answer, okay? So let's go back. I know I got distracted. That's my bad. But let's watch the rest of this answer.
I wanted to just go back to something that was raised earlier about habeas corpus. Can you confirm to us that you understand that any suspension of habeas corpus requires an act of Congress?
President Lincoln executed habeas corpus in the past with retroactive action by Congress, I believe.
Executed is a weird way to phrase it. Does she mean killed it? Because you guys know he suspended it, right? I don't know what she's trying to say here. Let's keep going.
That any president that was able to do that in the past, it should be afforded to our current day president. This president has never said he's going to do this. He's never communicated to me or his administration that they're going to consider suspending habeas corpus. But I do think the Constitution allows them the right to consider it.
When we saw what happened with, how many times has habeas corpus been suspended in our country?
Once that I know of.
4 times.
For certain. I'm not certain if those were...
The instance that you were referring to was one where the courts...
Do you guys know all 4 times? Can you at least name 2? Let's see how knowledgeable the class is today. Okay. I could cheat. I could use Google, right? So, but could you guys give me the at least... How many of the 4 times can you guys give me? I'm just curious. I will be honest with you. I could not have named all 4 before I saw this. I could have named 2, but not all 4. So I don't mind that she doesn't know the answer here. I don't think that's particularly damning. That's trivia. Okay, yeah, you got it, Lost Zoe. That's one. So Toby-Wan Kenobi says, I only know Lincoln. Yes. Lost Zoe says World War II with Japanese. Yes. Grant is another one, but there's a 4th. Do you guys know? Here, let me check my YouTubers. Okay, let me check my YouTubers. Let's see if the YouTubers know. Okay. Vietnam? BLM? What? Well, yes, we got the Civil War already. That was Lincoln. Okay, we already know that. So the 2 has been said and the 3 have been said at chat. Is Grant did it? Lincoln did it? FDR did it during World War II? There's a 4th. You guys know? I'm always looking at you, okay? I just, the way I have it set up is sometimes if I'm watching a thing, I can't see the YouTube chat. I have to switch back and forth. And rather than, because if I switch to the YouTube chat to check, everyone will see like all my stats and stuff. I don't want that. I just don't like that, so. Okay, so I'll give you the answers. Civil War, okay? President Lincoln suspended it. During the Reconstruction, South Carolina, habeas corpus was suspended in 11 counties to combat the Ku Klux Klan. So during Reconstruction. 3, in 1905, habeas corpus was suspended in 2 provinces of the Philippines to address an ongoing insurrection. Those 3. And then 4th, you guessed it, FDR. Okay, so there you go, kings and queens. We learned together. Again, I would have gotten 2 of the 4 right. I'm just being honest with you. I would not have guessed the Reconstruction of the Philippines insurrection, especially not the insurrection thing, the Philippines insurrection. I would have been like, what? So I wouldn't have been able to get that answer correct when being grilled by Congress, grilled by the Senate. And again, it's not the fact this answer here that she didn't know how many times. That's not what concerns me about Kirsty Noem here. But let's finish up the clip.
Subsequently showed that Congress is the one that has the ability. Do you know what section of the Constitution the suspension clause of habeas corpus is in?
I do not. Nope.
Do you know which article it is in?
No, I do not, sir.
Okay, well, it is in Article 1. Do you know which branch of government Article 1 outlines the tasks and the responsibilities for?
Yes.
Which one?
Congress.
Yes.
Ding, she got one right, gang. At least. Okay, so again, Kirsty Noem at least is more knowledgeable than that dude erudite was debating the other day on whatever podcast who couldn't name the 3 branches of government. So Kirsty Noem, woman, beats male MRA debater Jim Bob on knowledge. It's a low bar, right? But Kirsty Noem is able to clear that at least. Yeah. Crazy gang. But again, I don't mind that they're not able to answer trivia about like how many times is it done, right? Like all these things. But you need to know what it is. You need to know the concept. If you're going to be in any sort of position of power as high as the Secretary of Homeland Security, right? Or the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, or whatever they call it, right? You need to be able to answer it conceptually. I don't care if you don't know the trivia about it. That's neither here nor there. But you need to be able to tell people, when someone asks you, what is habeas corpus? You need to be able to answer clearly in an understandable manner. And she was not able to do that. This is a very low bar. we are being ruled by ignorant people. People who just do not know things, who do not understand basic principles, and it's a problem. Econo Boy, welcome to the show. Econo Boy, how'd you like going on Tim Pool? How'd you feel you did? How'd you like it? Econo Boy says, I would beat Wick in a trivia competition. You might. You actually might. I'm not very good with trivia. I don't know trivia a lot, but I do know concepts. Yeah, you also need to... I could beat you in opening an olive jar, Econo Boy. I could beat Andrew Wilson in opening an olive jar. Damn. But, yeah, it's funny. Econo Boy says, I'd give myself a 10 out of 10. I love, and I mean love with my whole heart, defending big government. Well, I'm glad you got to do so. I'm glad you had fun, man. Fun times. Let's see what else we got on tap. Here's a weird one. Here's a weird one. And I don't know how I feel about this. So do you guys know? Here, let me see if I can't get this right so you guys can see who's talking. This is from Representative Nancy Mace. Yes, I'm going there. Today, I will show my naked body on one of the videos predator and rapist Patrick Bryant took of me and many other women. I'm not sure how I feel about this, gang. We're obviously not going to watch the congressional hearing on Twitch or YouTube. That's just not going to happen. Do we need to... I understand solidarity. I get it. And I understand it's important to hold people accountable and to introduce legislation and to convince people that that legislation is good, to prevent people from, without permission, knowledge, or consent, recording people's intimate encounters. We all should know this, that's bad. We had some experience with it, yeah? Right? In the Twitch poll community, at least, right? We should understand. But I don't know how I feel about her showing her nudes in Congress. What am I? Help me make up my mind here, Chad, because I'm torn. I get solidarity. I understand it. Econo Boy says, you could have given me 1,000,000 years and I never would have guessed where you were going next. I would have never guessed this was a thing that was going to happen. Does this serve the purposes you want it to serve, Nancy? Miss Mace? I would recommend against it, but it's your body, your choice, I guess. I don't know if that's appropriate, even in solidarity. I don't know if it's appropriate to go into a congressional hearing and show. Is this hearing public? Is it a private? Okay, look, I understand a little bit more doing it in a private closed session of Congress where you're trying to convince your fellow congressmen to vote on a bill by exposing how degrading it is. I can understand that a little bit more. But a public open session? I don't know. I don't know if that's the wise move. No Cow Mike says, Wick, the bigger issue is something about this entire Nancy Mace thing feels phony. What feels phony about it? I don't think she's lying. Do you think she's lying? Biden says, what is this David Pakman Destiny shit? You guys want to get to that? We'll get to that. We'll get to that next. But I want to ponder the Mace nudes for a minute. Yeah, I just don't know. It opens you up to, bro, if this is open session and you post that in Congress where everyone can see, do you know what's going to happen? I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to be done. Do you want that? Nancy, think about this. Think it through, okay? Think it through. It's your choice. But I would advise caution. I don't think it's becoming of a sitting congressman to show their nudes in public. But I get it. I get solidarity. So again, I'm torn on this. I'm torn on this one. Okay, gang? Torn on this one. And no, you freaks. I'm not going to go and tune into it and stream it. That's weird. No, I will not link you the stream. No, I will not link you the session of Congress. Not going to happen. Yeah, 0 fucks. LOL at entering nudes into the public record. Like, this thing is good. Isn't this going to go into like the presidential library or whatever, or the Library of Congress, I guess you should say? $10 from Zephyr Hash to say, it's a form of protest that has been used many times in other countries. It's often seen as comparing a certain action to the most demeaning thing that can possibly happen to an individual. Like I said, I get that, Zephyr Hash. I understand. Yeah, it's going in the National Archive. So again, if nudes got leaked of me, and God forbid they ever do, right? If nudes got leaked of me, I wouldn't go in front of Congress and show my dick pics that got leaked in order to make a point. I think I can make the point without showing my massive schlong to all of Congress. I don't know. Alexander Rin for $10. At Wick TV. If she posts them herself, does that not mean that anyone is free to have them post themselves later on? That seems really stupid. I don't know how that works, legally speaking. But regardless of whether people should or shouldn't, whether it's legal or not, if you post your nudes in a public setting, you're going to lose control. Just de facto lose control of that. Unwise. $20.25 said a gay odyssey, says Wick. Do you have a big giant slong? If so, I'd want to see that. We're not going to none of you will ever see my dick. Sorry. Not unless you're a hot lady, okay? And then maybe you have a chance. But sorry, none of you are going to see my dick. No, like, shade on you or anything, right? Not personal. Just... Deadly Zebra says, can I see your ruler and the marks on it? You're not going to... I'm not going to... No, we're not doing that. Cardi says the more popular you get, the higher the chance of us seeing your dick becomes. Operation Catfish is a go. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? I'm going to regret even bringing this up. I already do. I already regret it. I already regret it, gang. You always measure from underneath. You measure from the top. Underneath is cheating, okay? You measure from the top. You get yourself, you make it so you're fully attentive, okay? And then you measure from the top. That's how you get an accurate measurement. Okay, and you don't use a straight ruler, you use one of those paper ones so you can measure the curve, okay? That's how you do it. There's a proper form, okay? And people are just doing it wrong, and it's creating unrealistic expectations. Okay? Unrealistic expectations out there. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna look. That's all I'm saying on this. Jesus Christ. Okay, next topic. Next topic. You guys want to talk about the Destiny Pakman shit? I know some of you do. Okay. So for those of you who weren't aware, David Pakman was going to co-headline a live event. I believe it was in... man, am I going to get this wrong? I believe it was in Chicago. I could be wrong on the location. But they had a venue. It was a live venue. David Pakman and Destiny were going to go on like an anti-Trump tour. And it was going to be an event hosted by a third-party company that had got them both to sign on to the event, and they would take live debaters. So MAGA people would come up and debate them live on stage, and they sold tickets, they booked the venue, all this was going on. It was Detroit. Thank you, Jenny Burns. It was Detroit. I appreciate the correction. Again, I knew I was going to get it wrong. Recently, as in when? The 18th of May? So what was that? 2 days ago? The CEO of the company that was hosting the event released a letter. And in this letter, he claims that David Pakman dropped out of the event. He broke his contract. Let's read the letter. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what a gentleman by the name of Travis Pangburn has to say. He was the CEO of, I guess, whatever company this was. I don't fucking know. Let's look. Can you guys see this? Let's read the statement here. TLDR version. The TLDR version is that Pakman broke contract because he was getting too much hate from his fans or whatever. At least that's what the letter claims, that he was getting too much hate from his fans about being with Pakman, so he broke his contract and backed out of the event. So he's no longer going to be at the event with Destiny. That's a TLDR, but let's get into it. Again, this is the alleged version. We don't know if this is true. This is assuming the Pangburn guy isn't... It's assuming he's accurately portraying what happened. So just keep that in mind. If he's not accurately portraying what happened, then we have a different discussion. But let's go with it. Let's see what he says. Let's see what happens here. So this is official statement from Pangburn regarding the June 22nd event in Queens, New York. It wasn't in Detroit. Jenny Burns, why are you misleading me? It was in Queens, New York. We were both wrong. Okay, we were both wrong. It says this. We regret to inform our audience and ticket holders that David Pakman has chosen to withdraw from his scheduled appearance at the Anti-Trump Tour event on June 22nd, 2025, at the Queen's Theater in New York, where he was set to appear alongside Destiny, Stephen Bennell. Prior to signing his contract, David was fully informed of the event details, including some public accusations that Destiny is currently defending himself against. With full knowledge of these circumstances, David agreed to participate and signed his contract, allowing us to proceed with a formal public announcement and ticket sales. On May 9th, shortly after the announcement was made, David informed us that he had received some negative feedback regarding his participation. Despite previously indicating that he was not troubled by this, and suggesting that the negative feedback may have been instigated by agitators, David and his team later cited reputational concerns as their reasons for backing out. These concerns were not raised until after the event had been publicly announced, contracts signed, and tickets sold. We want to be clear. Pangburn takes its contractual obligations seriously. We do not move forward with announcing events until all agreements are legally confirmed in order to protect our attendees, speakers, and organization from unnecessary disruptions. Many of our attendees take time off work, book flights and accommodations, and make personal sacrifices to attend our events. It is our responsibility to honor those commitments. Although David's team requested to be released from his contractual obligation, we expressed that, from both a legal and ethical standpoint, the professional course of action would be for him to honor the agreement. This situation underscores the importance of due diligence before signing any contract. Despite our attempts to find a resolution, on May 15th, David formally notified us that he would not be appearing at the event. As a result, we will be transitioning the Queen's event into a solo night featuring Destiny and a live debate with Trump supporters, an exciting format that proved highly successful during our Detroit stop. For those who purchased tickets, expecting both speakers, we are offering a full refund if you do not wish to attend the new solo debate featuring Destiny versus Trump supporters. We understand that some may be disappointed, and we share that sentiment. However, the show will go on. We are committed to delivering an engaging, high-quality experience that lives up to the anti-Trump tour's mission. Blah, 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 blah. What do you think, gang? What are your thoughts here on this? I have thoughts. I have a lot of them, okay? I have publicly condemned Destiny for what he did, all right? I haven't had him on my show since, right? It's not a secret what he's done. Assuming, and this is an assumption, and I acknowledge that, assuming that David Pakman was made aware of the accusations against Destiny, and knowing the accusations, knowing the extent of the accusations, he said yes and signed a contract that he would go on stage, right, with Destiny and have the debate or the event or whatever it was. It is wrong to back out of your commitment. If you were deceived and they misrepresented the accusations and you signed it, then fair. But assuming that those accusations were accurately represented, just because you get pushback from your audience or pushback from outside forces does not mean you get to renege on your promise. You don't. You've given your word. You have signed a contract. You have said, yes, I will do this thing. Assuming there was no deception or coercion, what you were doing is not just hurting Destiny. It's hurting the event organizers. It's hurting the people who bought tickets to go to your event. It's hurting a lot of people that, at least to my knowledge, hasn't done anything wrong. Your Coping Heart says, wow, this is a criticism. Don't bail on your promise. This is like second grade nonsense. It's not nonsense, first of all. A lot of people, look, if we lived by the principles that were taught to us as children, a lot of us would be better off. The society would be better off. Keeping your word is a thing that a lot of people just don't give a shit about anymore. There's a lot of people who think someone did a bad thing, and so therefore anything I do with regard to that person is justified, and I don't have to explain it. I don't have to answer for it, right? That person is bad. Of course I could bring my word to him. Fuck him, right? Oh, that person is bad. Of course I could do this bad thing to them. Fuck them, right? Oh, this person's a legal immigrant? Oh, we could just fucking support them. We don't need to give them habeas corpus. We don't need to give them anything like that. Fuck them. They're bad. They're gangbangers. What do we need to go through process and follow fucking contractual obligations or any of that? They're gangbangers. We can just deport them. It's the same principle at play, Testy Johnson. It is the same principle at play. You can't be for one and against the other. Then you're not against it principally. You're just a team sports player. You're just a team sports player, buddy. Right? That's all you are. Red versus blue, right? You either believe in the rule of law and contractual obligation, or you don't. You believe in following it, or you don't. You believe in keeping your word, or you don't. Econo Boy says Wick would say Hitler should have kept his word. Should have. Audacity said, nah, this is a reach. Why is it a reach? What's reaching about it? Again, assuming there was no deception involved. If Pangburn is misrepresenting the situation, then my take changes, obviously. But assuming, and it is an assumption, I recognize that, assuming that he is representing the events accurately, then yeah, Pakman should have kept his word and honored his commitment. Does anyone, like, I know some of you are disagreeing with me. I see it. I see it in your heads. I see it in your eyes. And I can see all of your eyes. I can see into your webcams right now. All of you, every single one. By God, put some pants on, you weirdos. Okay. No, but first of all, like, this idea, right, that you can just do bad things to bad people because they're bad. Or do bad things involving bad people because they're bad, and fuck them, right? Jenny Byrne says, you're not the boss of me. Tessie Johnson says, I already explained it on Twitter. We can chat about it for 5 minutes if you want. Jump on in. It's a call-in show. Why not? Jump backstage. You know where we are, Tessie Johnson. Has Pakman said anything about it? Not to my knowledge. Again, if he comes out and he says, nah, they didn't let me know, they misrepresented these accusations, then my take changes. If you deceived him in order to get him on, then you have done the wrong thing, right? Then you have done the bad. You are the bad person. You deceived someone in order to get them to sign a contract. That's wrong. That's, in fact, illegal. Moria Memento says, $5 says, I walked away completely from all of Destiny's content after everything. That being said, if you sign a contract, stand by it. David is 41 and is smart. True. Again, if you give your word, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you have ethical qualms with being on stage with Destiny, that's fine. I get that. But don't say you're going to do it and then back out of it. David and I are the same age. Did you guys know that? Come on, Tessie Johnson. You aren't in my Discord? Well, you left my Discord? That's sad. Okay, though. Once Tessie gets here, we'll have a discussion. Yeah, and like, I don't know. Before I sign a contract to work with someone, I at least look into them a little bit, right? I don't know. But again, like I said, if they tried to hide it, if they weren't forthcoming with it, then I'm on Pakman's side, right? If they weren't forthcoming with it, if they had said, oh, it's just, it's nothing, don't worry about it, and they didn't give him the full details, then yeah, okay, you deceived the guy. But as the letter implies, if he was told the full extent of the allegations, and he agreed, eyes wide open, that's on him. Tier 3 membership from Alexander Wren to say, how can anyone disagree with the concept of following through on your commitments when made with knowledge of the circumstances? Backing out because of your fans don't like it makes you a child. True. Tessie Johnson, what did you do? Or I could just give you the role. There. Reload. Come backstage. There you are. What up, G?
Hey, what's up? It's been a while.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I think the most engagement, if I'm not shitposting in your chat, I'm just like, nipping at your heels on Twitter.
It's okay.
So we got a good thing going, I think.
Yeah, it's fine. What's your problem with my take here at the end of the day?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess so. You sort of hedged, and that's my bad, because you're saying that yes, if we are assuming that everything as it is presented, then I don't think that there's like a broad disagreement. I think. Hang on, let me actually pull up your tweet. There was a part I disagreed with.
Okay.
God damn, dude, how much do you tweet in a day?
I tweet a lot. Here, I can probably link it to you. Hold on.
I'm sure if I keep scrolling, I'll get there. There's. Let me just find it. This is riveting for chat. I'm not a content creator.
Here,
so
I will.
I
mean, they know it already, but here I'll just
okay,
show it on screen. Here was my tweet, and I can just read it to them.
Oh right, okay. So assuming he was made aware of everything, so I think this is where. This might sound like a little bit of a pussy argument, although I did sort of expand on this on Twitter. But being made aware of everything, so everything, there's a lot. Like there's all the drama people who have gone through all the court documents, and they're combing through every little fucking thing on all the forms and all this stuff, right? So yes, assuming like it's like. I don't know. It does. I guess it comes out. Consent is a bad thing to bring into this, but let's just say yes, fully informed, right? So, what is knowing everything to you?
So when
just the accusation of this girl has accused him of this thing, or sorry, go on.
The accusation, what that accusation entails and involves, and what other issues are at play around that accusation. I don't think he needs to know the trivia, right? There was 23 people who accused him or whatever, right? He just needs to know a lot of people accused him, right? Or there's a major lawsuit going on where there's credible allegations, and these are what the allegations are, and there is multiple people who have corroborated those allegations. If that's what he knew, and he signed the contract, then yeah, it's on Pakman, and Pakman did it wrong by backing out.
Yeah, so what I would say is that there's a threshold. Like there is a certain point where, yes, absolutely. I'll just say it up front. Like yes, breaking a legal contract is not a good thing. It's a poor precedent to set. It's not a good look. And I think there is a level of due diligence that for any sort of business dealings, there's a level of due diligence that you should do before you enter into any sort of contract, right? I think the hypothetical that I proposed is that a couple of things that I'd want to know before I would. So first of all, when I hear everything, I could hear, here's like the broad strokes. This girl has accused Destiny of sharing her nudes or revenge porn, because that's probably the catchier term, of sharing revenge porn of her, and now there's a lawsuit going on about it. Like that might be the extent of sort of what I know. And if I'm doing quote unquote due diligence, I might look into that a little bit further and see, okay, it looks like there may be another woman, or I wouldn't really expect much more than that. It's like an accusation. It's like, okay, I can kind of live with that. Nothing's confirmed. There's an ongoing court case, whatever. I don't know when these things are booked. So my sort of hypothetical is that this statement that this guy released, this penguin guy, whatever the fuck his name is.
Pangburn, whatever, right?
Pangburn, yeah. It could be accurate. But also Pakman or his team, like realistically, I don't think that these things are probably brought to him by somebody, but whatever. There could have been things that have changed. So I don't know when this was booked. I don't know when this contract is finalized. I don't know if it was announced the day after, like everyone was locked in.
The letter says, right? The letter goes through it. So the letter says that on May 9th, shortly after the announcement was made, that's when David first informed Pangburn, at least, or at least his company, of the negative feedback regarding his participation.
Right. So I think that's it's Occam's razor. Like the way that you've sort of laid out in the letter is probably like the most common, or it's probably the most likely thing, is that you got some backlash, especially because he's like more of a lefty type, so those people can be pretty vicious online, and who knows. So he's probably like, yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze, and I don't want to like risk a hit to my reputation.
So assuming, just pause on that because I want to get your answer here. So assuming that's the case, would you judge Pakman for backing out for that reason?
Yeah, I think it's pretty spineless, especially somebody who does media. Like, I think that, like, especially somebody who does political media. Like, off the bat, you're going to talk and engage with people who you disagree with on a fundamental level, but you're probably going to engage also with some unsavory characters, right? So I think that calculus probably goes more so than like other types of content, like other types of discussions. Like, you are a political media person, you're going to talk to foreign
in
people who hold
technical
foreign
terms,
views and who have probably done horrible things.
In technical terms, what the behavior Pakman engaged in here is, I think the technical term is bitch-made behavior.
Yeah, it comes off as bitch
Pushy
made.
shit.
The hypothetical that I'm sort of, I'll kind of land the plane. I think that it's somewhat reasonable if what happened was that these contracts were actually settled. Maybe let's even say like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago. There could have been new information that came out or that he learned about between that time and now that made him ultimately change his mind and say that there's like a. So I'll kind of turn it back on you. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Again, hypothetical world, right? Let's say let's say this thing is booked. An accusation came out, no proof or no like hard proof, but accusation came out that it was something more serious had happened in the interim. Contract has been signed. Destiny is now.
So let's just say, so let's just say the accusation gets upgraded, and someone comes out and says, not only did he non-consensually share my news, but he raped me.
Yeah. That's kind of what that's exactly where I was headed, because it's
I know you. I understand. Rape is your
you know what I'm saying.
go-to.
So is there a particular line where you're saying, okay, that's unacceptable. It's against my own personal moral lines or whatever, and then
I think that yes, if there is new information that comes out that you were not made aware of when signing the contract, that wasn't available, at least that wasn't like pretty common public knowledge that anyone could access pretty easily. You just Google it, right? Destiny and Pixie allegations, right? And you'll find hundreds of hours of content, right, on that that you could peruse or your team could peruse at their leisure. If there was a new accusation, a substantively new accusation that came out between you signing the contract, knowing all that information that you did not know before and no one knew before and you weren't made aware of before, then yes, my take changes, and I think that Pakman can reevaluate and should reevaluate. I still don't know if I would if it were me, I still don't know if I would back out because I have signed a contract and there's a lot of people who are relying on me because that didn't do any of these things, right? And people bought tickets to the show, right? People have booked the venue, right? Money has been spent, changes hands, but my view on the situation does change if that's the case.
Okay, and I think that's all I was really getting at on Twitter is that, and so you know what, I will retract calling it a bad take because I did miss the part where you're like, I think you said it twice in your tweet because again, you did hedge, and I can't be too mad about that. Where you said assuming everything is true, and then something like if it's as it's presented or whatever.
Yes.
So, or if he was made aware of everything, and then assuming that the letter is portraying events accurately. So it's like, yeah, I agree with sort of that hypothetical. Like we're taking that because at the end of the day, it is sort of speculation. And then you sort of sound like you agree that, like, yeah, there could be information that maybe have come to light or that he was then made aware of that changes the calculus. I also agree with you that, like, it's a shitty thing. Like, you are fucking people over. As the letter says, people taking time off for this type of stuff, travel arrangements, hotel arrangements.
If I was supposed to come on screen with Rabid Wombat, right? If me and Rabid Wombat were doing a live event
know why,
together, okay?
But, sorry,
and
go on.
Look, hold on. Just let me get my hypothetical. Me and Rabid Wombat, we're going to have a live event together. We were going to go and we're going to duo debate live on stage at the King Center, right? And accusations came out that Rabid couldn't open a jar of olives, okay? He was a bitch-made pussy who couldn't open an olive jar. As gross as I find that, as reprehensible as I find that, I would still honor my commitment to show up. Because again, I made a promise. I made a promise to people who are able to open olive jars because they're men with like, testosterone and shit. And yeah, I keep my word. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm built different.
No, what you're saying makes sense. Yeah, the only the only kind of thing is that, yeah, I mean, this wasn't really much contention. I don't think we necessarily disagree. I don't know if Pakman's going to end up making a statement on this, but oh, someone new. Hello.
I don't know. We're doing
hey.
call-ins now, I guess. What are your thoughts here?
My thoughts is I understand the specific situation you guys are talking about, but overall, it's just a giant issue with the left and like content creation in general. Is that they seem to not be concerned with actually like building a coalition and building political power, and it seems to just be this like ideological purity testing for a lot of their audiences. And for it's like the incentive structure is to cancel essentially in a lot of left-wing circles, and it's just costing us a lot of political power and capital. As a left-leaning person myself, I say this, and I think like, yeah, we should just start being like more unhinged and just basically lowering our standards for the people that we have rise to our leadership, like genuinely. And like if you
Hold
look on the right,
let
you
me
got
ask you a
freaking like
question.
Benny Johnson and stuff.
The dilemma. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so say
Yeah.
there was an individual that was very politically effective, right? A lot of people liked them. They had a big following. They could get bills passed, right? They could get elections won. But they loved to eat children, right? Kill and eat them. Would you be okay with having this person be the head of your political organization?
How many children do they eat? I'm serious.
What
when I
would
ask
the
that
line be for you? Is
Wait, sorry.
five too
I'm gonna let
many?
you guys have this conversation.
Okay.
I feel like I've outlived my usefulness.
You have. Bye-bye, Kirsty Johnson.
Yeah, later.
The line would be
Like, how many would he
that
need to kill and
it's
eat?
a small enough. It's a small enough amount that nobody cares, or that nobody like it's not enough of
I
to
don't
have a
think there's
large impact on society.
any amount of.
I can't give you a specific
children-
number because if it's like 1,000, obviously that's too much. But if it's like 2 or 3, I'm okay with it. Like serious, yeah.
Okay.
Like because we need to just start being like lowering our standards for humanity. I'm serious. Like comparatively,
So
look
no,
at all the
just to be
damage
clear,
long
just to be
term.
clear, just because I'm gonna clip this, I'm gonna post this, right? And I just want you to be aware that's gonna happen. So you
Yes,
would be
you can
okay
clip this. You can
if
post
there
this.
was a
Yeah.
man who killed and ate 2 children, that you would be okay with them leading your political movement.
Assuming
they were politically
wait,
effective.
hold on. How much is this like a scandal that it comes out, or like how much do I know about this? Is it just in private?
You just it's private. No one knows. You know though. You're aware. You could blow the lid wide open. You could blow the lid wide open by reporting, like, and showing the world that this very effective Democratic leader killed and ate children, but only 2. However, if you do so, he's probably going to lose his seat, right? But you know he's super effective. He gets bills passed. He defeats MAGA, right? He beats J.D. Vance. He beats Trump. He beats all those people, right? He's got a huge following. Democrats are ascendant, and you know he has killed and ate 2 people, children.
Yes, I would still support him. Yes, I would
and
still
you
support
wouldn't
him
out
for
him. You
political
would keep his
expediency.
secret.
Yeah, I would for political expediency. Because there's a relative harm reduction here, and the future of your country is it's like look at all the harm that Trump's doing. Like if the millions of people lose their Medicaid, right? Like put that in relation towards the guy who ate and killed 2 babies, right? It's like it's not even close. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's millions of people that could possibly die because of the Medicaid cuts.
Okay.
So yeah, I would just keep it to myself, and I wouldn't say shit.
That
and
is
I'd
an
let him
answer
eat his 2
you can
kids.
have. Thank you for calling in. I'm going to talk to you later, okay, buddy?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to whatever that bug that has gotten in your brain that causes you to think that way, we need to get rid of it. We need to excise it. It is not good. It is, in fact, that way of thinking, that reasoning, that level of reasoning is what is destroying us. I'm deadly serious. We're willing to overlook this abhorrent behavior because it gives us political wins. Is basically why people support Trump. We're willing to overlook your abhorrent behavior because it gives us what we want. No. If I found out that a man I admired, a person I voted for, lobbied for, was leading the Democratic Party into a golden age, and I found out he had killed and ate any amount of kids, I'm going live with that information. I'm going to the news. I'm going to the Post. I'm going to the New York Post, the Washington Post, all the posts. Okay? I'm going on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, anyone that will have me. I'm shouting that shit to the rooftops. I don't want people who eat children in my party. I don't want them leading my party. I don't want anything to do with them. No. Wrong. Bad. I don't know why we have to, like, I don't know. I don't know why we have to, like, pretend. Pat Cretan says brave. Yeah, you know, it feels like it is brave. Right? It feels like it is brave. Jesus Christ, gang. What are we supposed to do? You know what? We need a break. We need a little cleanser. So now that more of you are here, let's watch again this fun clip.
Uh-oh. Come on, you can do it.
Put it right side up. Just
You can
so it
do
doesn't
it. You
spill
got
on you.
this.
All right, bro. I can't do it. Here.
Right.
Dude, this seems a little immature. No. For
Hey, the guy
$1,000.
sent $1,000.
Yeah, but it seems slightly immature.
It's all fucking
It's just
slick
for,
now.
It's a little,
See, it
little fun.
is.
I gotta grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Well, your hand greased the whole top of it.
My hand are fine. Here, high
It's
five.
funnier the second time.
It's look, feel it. Isn't that greasy?
It was like that already. Oh my god.
No, it
ridiculous.
wasn't. You greased the top.
Use
Greased
your-
it.
use
You
your-
greased
If you
it.
can't open the olive jar, you cannot
Here,
blame my
while we're doing
hand.
olive jar.
If you're so strong, you should open it.
Yeah, I gotta be able to grip it.
Okay, we'll grip it. Let's
It's
go.
literally slippery.
Bro.
Grab me a paper towel so I can dry the top of it off.
Bro. How can you debate forced doctrine, right? So we already went over it. I won't go over it again, but damn. Embarrassing. Shameful, really. Honestly. They're all just LARPers. They're just they're not even useful idiots. They're just idiots. They can't even open your fucking jars. Okay? Which is all those types are good for. Okay? Jesus Christ. And blaming women for your failures. That encapsulates Andrew Wilson and that movement. They blame women for their failures. Couldn't open an olive jar, so it must be the woman's fault. Anyway, I needed that cleanser after the we should eat children, or we should let our leaders eat a certain amount of children, and not I needed the cleanser. Dr. Gatso says it was funny as hell, but gotta be honest, even she admits at the end it was greasy as hell. Well, yes, but she didn't grease it. Like, that was his accusation, that she greased it. I'm assuming the implication is to embarrass him or something. Nah, man. You just couldn't open it. It was an olive jar, not a pickle jar. Or at least that's what it was claimed. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay, gang. What else do we got? What else do we want to talk about today? So we've covered Nancy Mace showing her nudes in Congress. Okay, fun. We've covered Kirsty Noem not knowing what she's talking about. Also, That's not as fun. That's more scary. So $5 from Dragar 99. Thank you for the $5. Really appreciate the super chats. $5 for Zephyr Hash. Yeah, I'll do some super chats, and then I have one more thing to cover. $5 from Zephyr Hash to say, what's the line, Wick? What is the worst you will allow your Democratic leader to get away with? What if they called black people super predators? I don't care if they say a slur. That's not my line. Eating children is a good line, right? Killing and eating them, that's doing sexy stuff with sexual stuff with people who are not consenting. That's a line, right? Man, I mean, there's a lot that I would not be okay with, but no, slurs are fine. I don't care if they say slurs. They can say the hard R. I wouldn't care. No other. Racism is a line past a certain point. But a slur isn't enough. It isn't enough for me. Am I dating Vosh? No. I don't date men. Sorry. Why are you even asking if I'm dating Vosh? What is this? Is this a rumor going around? He's not. He's into short stack goblins and lollies and stuff and horses. Dragar says, "Where are you at with Gamergate?" Gamergate was like 10 years ago. I have no strong opinions on Gamergate. Greece is just horsing around, maybe. Well, it's good to ask, I guess. I suppose. Eating settler babies? Yeah. Well, that's a reason I don't support Hassan, right? Or one of the many reasons I don't support Hassan isn't just like if he had said slurs, I don't care. But he's just a bad person, right? He is and we have clips after clips of being a bad person. But yeah. Who's worse than what they did, Vosh or Destiny? I don't know if I could probably Destiny. But neither are good. I don't want one of the problems I see is when you ask us to rank evil, is that people think that the lower ranks are less evil, and I don't know if that's true. So I just don't rank. I try not to when it passes a certain threshold. I'm like, all of this is unacceptable. Like whether you kill 10 people or 100 people, obviously killing the 100 people is worse, but killing 10 people is still doesn't make you good, right? Is it blurry or just me? It might be blurry. My camera sucks. That might be true. I did want to cover one more thing. Thank you for reminding me. There is one more thing that's been bothering me that I've seen a lot of. Gecko McNiggle says, you don't rank evil, you measure it. Fair enough. There's one more thing that I've seen a lot of. Speaking of evil. Razzle Smasher says, Destiny made a huge mistake for sure, but I think a lot of drama tubers types have overblown it. There are some serious flaws in Pixie's case. I don't know whether the legal side of things. I just don't know. I have not looked into the legalities of it. I am not a lawyer. I'm not familiar with the law in that instance, and those things. But we don't have to debate whether or not what he did was illegal. We can talk about whether or not what he did was moral. And I think that it was clearly immoral. And immoral to a point where I think it was serious. Something I can't countenance and I cannot excuse. Now again, and I'll repeat this, that does not mean we get to do bad things to Destiny. No, that's not how this works. That does not mean we cancel him. That's not how it works, right? We're not cancel pigs here. We don't do that. Free speech is even for the bad people. The courts will have their say, and may justice be done. But we also don't have to defend what he did. We don't have to excuse it. We don't have to run cover for it, right? We can hold these things in our minds at the same time. Evil tier list when? You will be the top of the evil tier list. You know what will be the top? Jenny, do you know what will be the top of the evil tier list? Women, okay? Women will be at the top of the evil tier list because come on. Okay. Hell yeah? Yeah, hell yeah. Audacity says, how about we debate that every time people around him put in the work to make progress in the political sphere, he completely fucks it all up and just giggles at how many bridges he's burned? I'm not here to defend, or we're not like to defend Destiny, right? I'm not here to do that today. I think that when he's right, he's right. When he's wrong, he's wrong. And that's with everyone. I try to do that with everyone. I'm not successful at it, but I try. I try to silo things, but I again, we're all only human. I'm not perfect at this. Let's cover the last thing I wanted to cover today. Okay. And then we're going to talk about, after we cover this, we're going to talk about tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show is going to be a banger, gang. It's going to be a little later than usual, but that's okay, because we're going to make women fight for our amusement, and that's always fun. And we'll talk about it in a second. Let's talk about this tweet that I have seen variations on, and I have seen people talk about a lot. Here's this guy, all right? I don't know him, but he's a good example because I've seen this. I've seen this sentiment shared in many instances, and I wanna talk about it because it bothers me. It says this: Christians must recover the lost virtue of hatred. If not, Christianity will survive, but the West will be finished. And I've seen a lot of quote-unquote Christians talk about this, that they need to bring back hate. They need to bring back punishment. They need to bring back, for lack of a better word, vice. It bothers me. It bothers me because it's antithetical to the words of the person who they claim to follow. I'll say this, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I am agnostic. It means I don't know. I don't know if there's a God. I don't know if Christianity is the way, Buddhism, whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure, right? I was raised religious, okay? I was raised Christian. I was raised Mormon specifically, right? I spent most of my adult life as Mormon, right? As a practicing Mormon means I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, any of that, right? It means that I served a mission. I studied the scriptures, the Bible, etc. I became familiar with Christianity. I lived Christianity. I practiced Christianity. I considered myself, and to some extent I still do, a follower of Christ. And what that means, right? It means I follow his words, his teachings, and his example. And I try to live by it. And I think that even though I'm agnostic, I think that the world would be a better place if more people lived a Christ-like life. If more people epitomized and actualized Christ-like virtues in their life. If more people were like Christ, I think the world would be a far, far better place. But there has been, especially recently, this movement of people that call themselves Christian, but are anything but. They make a mockery of the words of Christ. I'm going to share scripture with you. Okay? I know. Cringe, but you guys could learn this. Remember, this guy says Christians must recover the lost virtue of hatred. But what did Christ himself in the Sermon on the Mount have to say? And this is what he says He says this. He says, "Ye have heard it been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father who is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust." This is just one example of many of quote-unquote Christians just not following the words of Christ. And not only not following the words of Christ, but preaching the exact opposite of the words of Christ and pretending that they're Christians and that this is what Christ said or wanted. It is offensive to me, for lack of a better word, right? I have positive feelings towards my church, right? Positive feelings towards the religion of my youth, positive feelings towards Christianity, positive feelings towards kind of like that worldview, right? That ideology, that set of values and virtues. And to see it being, frankly, killed, and they skinned it, and they're wearing it around like a suit, right? They're parading themselves in the dead suit of Christianity, right? And wearing its skin, literally, like fucking shapeshifters, and saying that they're Christians and that those pussy liberal Christians aren't real Christians bothers me. It offends me. It makes me angry. It is this push I have seen for a long time, but it's taken it's like a snowball, right? It starts small, but it rolls and it rolls and it rolls and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it is reached a fairly critical mass of people who are being taught that Christianity is a one thing that it never has been. It never was. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It's been done before, right? Look at all the religious wars in the 16, 15, 1400. Like, why did the people, since the printing press, basically, right? And before then, why do you think that a lot of people fled to America? Because they were being persecuted for their religion by quote unquote Christians, right? Just this antithetical view of the world and this un-Christ-like behavior being perpetrated by people who claim to speak for Christ. It bothers me. It bothers me, and I wanted to talk about it. Zephyr Hash for $2. The world must learn of our peaceful ways by force. yeah. Look, I'm not a pacifist. I understand that there are times where you have to do violence. I understand that there are times where you have to be intolerant and stand up, right? But let's look. I think a good example of this is immigration, right? And the way a lot of the so-called Christians have spoken of immigrants. And I'm not talking the violent ones. I'm not talking about the drug dealers. I'm not talking about the criminals. I'm not talking about the rapists, the killers, the murderers. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about normal people, right? Just immigrants trying to get away from economic disparity, trying to get away from their country, who just want a better life, who come to this country, right? Even legally these days, they are being treated in a way that Christ would find abhorrent and repellent. Let me read you another scripture. I know, soy, but I think it's important. Here. Luckily, I remember, right? I remember the Bible. I read it on occasion. And I know what Christ said. So let's read this, and I'm going to tell you a story. So this is what Christ said. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then he shall also say to them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. I want you to contrast that with the rhetoric going around from J.D. Vance, the Trump administration, the so-called Christians that are, again, saying, that are laughing when families get separated, laughing when people get deported, cheering on people being sent to a foreign torture prison that the government has recognized that they can't get people out of. I don't know what to tell you. It's clear. It's plain. Doesn't take mental gymnastics. Christ was very clear about this. Again, the Pharisees at the time tried to trip him up, right? They tried to trip him up when he was like, love thy neighbor as thyself. And they tried to trip him up and says, well, just who's my neighbor? Who counts as my neighbor? Christ, and I'll spare you the further preaching, but Christ gives a very interesting answer to this question that you should all look up. Parable of the Good Samaritan. Check it out. We are running out of time for today. I got other things to do. But yeah, let's kind of wrap it up. So tomorrow, okay, so first of all, if you like the content, if you enjoyed the show, sorry the debate fell through today. I apologize for that, but hopefully you enjoyed the content anyway, right? Hopefully you guys enjoyed me going through the news of the day and talking about all these different things and having a couple callers and all that. It was fun. If you enjoyed the content, if you like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Twitch or you're on Kick, hit that follow button. It'll let you know when we go live. Tomorrow we're going live a little bit later. We're going live about 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to have we're going to be hosting a 2v2 debate between Enemy Charlie and Tolly Bots. You guys saw Tolly on my show a couple days ago. You guys liked her, right? Her and Enemy Charlie are going to be teaming up to debate Team Fatty. And I don't want to get the gentleman's name incorrect, so I am going to give him, I'm going to read it directly, right, so I don't mess it up. Martea Ruelas, okay? So Team Fatty and Martea Ruelas versus Enemy Charlie and Tolly Bots. They're going to be debating this question. Should men and women have the same rights? Should men and women have the same rights that each other has? Should men have the same rights as women? Should women have the same rights as men? Team Fatty and Martea Ruelas says no. Women should not have the same rights as men. So we're going to make Enemy Charlie and Tolly Bots fight the men for their rights, and let's see if they can debate them and debate them successfully. If they don't, we will strip them of their rights, and it will be fun. So tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Should be fun. Let's rate into someone. Who we rated into? Who we going to, gang? Irrelevant? Let's go to Irrelevant. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Will the losing side have to open a jar? True. I should make both of the men open a jar live on stream before they debate, just to show that they're man, right? Prove their manhood. Okay, yeah, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tell Irrelevant that this is a hate raid, and I will see you guys tomorrow.